In today's clip, I want to address an incredibly simple concept that a lot of people have a problem understanding, and that is what a progressive tax rate really means, and how an increase on the top end of tax rates will almost never, ever affect most people. Hey, Zempak here. Good lord, I can't stand some of the major misconceptions people have about how taxes work, okay? So I can clear that up in a few sentences, and I'm going to do that right now. But also with a few more sentences for exaggeration and just for schnitz and giggles, okay? So if you enjoy this kind of stuff, or just enjoy looking at my ugly mug every other weekday, feel free to subscribe and comment and like and share and all that internet barbaco or whatever. Who cares? Alright, back to the rant. Number one, I don't even really have multiple points today because this is such a simple concept, and yet people misunderstand it all the time, right? Okay, right now we have a Democratic president, right? It's a pretty high likelihood that tax rates for people will increase. I see the average American really likes to freak out when their tax rate increases because they're afraid they're gonna have to pay more money to Uncle Sam, and God forbid we all have to contribute more to social services. What a horror! Okay, so far for regular income, all I've heard is a reversion to the pre-orange douche days, right, for the top tax rate. So maybe going back to almost 40% for the very top tax bracket, right? Key phrase here is the top tax bracket. Now, take a look at yourself. Are you or have you been in the top tax bracket right now, in the past 5 years? Do you anticipate to be in this group in the next 5 years? If you're not sure, then I guarantee you that you have not hit the top bracket, because people who are even remotely near the top bracket would have looked it up and thought of ways to mitigate their tax burdens, right? Hint, hint, it's a bit over 500K for single filers, and even more for households of more than one income earning adult. So, the real misconception is that if the tax rate increases somehow, that it is a significant increase in tax burden on the individual for all amount of money that they make. This is not how a progressive tax rate works, okay? Say if you make $100 a year, increase in the top tax rate will affect you for absolutely $0. Say if you make $100K a year, guess what? The increase in the top tax rate still will affect you for $0. The tax rate changes that are being proposed for regular income are almost always changing only on the very top end, right? Our current president, for instance, has said that his tax changes will affect no one who makes less than $400,000 a year. Imagine that. So, if he sticks to his promise, which I'm fairly certain he will because he's not orange or a douche, that would mean the progressive tax part of his tax plan are only aimed at the incomes over the 400K threshold, which really means that he's looking to increase the tax rate for the top two brackets, okay? Once again, have you actually made more than $400,000 combined with your husband or wife lately? If not, the changes that are meant to affect those people will only affect those people and not you, okay? And it's actually only for the income over 400K, right? So if you just make 400K, these changes will not have a direct impact on you whatsoever. So why do people freak out? I have no idea. I think it's just a complete lack of financial understanding. People seem to think that somehow if the top end tax rate changes, that everyone will start having to pay 40%, okay? Even the people who are in the top tax bracket only pay that almost 40%, presumably if the tax rates revert back to pre-douche days, pre-orange douche days. Even for the richest, it's only a minor part of their income, okay, that will be affected. So my whole point is, if this can come across at all, is that in a progressive tax system, the increase in rates only affect incomes over each incremental threshold, right? So I'm going to give you some worst case scenarios, right? Like someday someone might want to tax, say, 90% of income over $1 million, right? By the way, that's not even outrageous, right? Only 50 years ago, US had top income tax rates of more than double of what I'm talking about. So 90% may sound oppressive, and it will get people talking and complaining. Well, I don't want the government to take $9 out of my $10 earned. That is not what the government is going to do, okay? What they're going to do is take $9 out of the million plus $10 that you earned, right? So unless the person speaking have earned that astronomically high level of income before that tax rate will even register. So if you, in my hypothetical scenario here, if you didn't touch $1 million, you don't have to worry, okay? That's really the vast majority of people do not have to worry, and yet they want to join in the conversation, talk about how sucky it is for the very rich to get a slight tax increase. Oh my God. I mean, I don't really understand it, okay? So my other alternative explanation here is that, look, most people are poor. Maybe they're just poorly educated. Probably both, right? Which is why, that they worry about things that they don't actually have. And in a way, I do get it, right? Americans are the most optimistic people on planet Earth. So maybe each person's like, hey, yo, I could make $1 million next year. Well, to that I say, awesome, great, good for you, okay? If you think you can make $1 million next year, golf clap for you. But here's the thing. If that's the case, all you need to do is get a better accountant, or simply get any accountant, because now your big tax problem is a giant first world problem, right? And if you can somehow figure out how to make more than $1 million, or in the more realistic case we're talking about with Biden's tax changes, if you think you can make more than $400,000, then I'm sure you can figure out this tax conundrum at a personal level in, say, half that time, a third of that time, right? If you're making $400,000, spend $10,000 on mitigating your tax burden. Totally worth it, okay? Problem solved. Boom. All right, that's all I've got for today. Check out some other videos on the corners above. Till next time, cheers.